Hello and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here, and if you are listening on the podcast, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to dive into an interesting topic today. We are going to talk about light language. I'm going to briefly describe what light language is. I'm going to get into my personal experience with light language, and if you see me looking down here, it's because if you're watching, I'm looking at my notes because I wrote up some notes on this so that I don't really miss anything. Just being completely transparent with you guys. I am no light language expert. I recently started tapping into light language summer of last year, around July of last year. The very first time was on a plant medicine psilocybin journey. When I started to tap into it without any plant medicine more regularly, that really started to unlock last year around July, August. So I didn't know what was going on when this first started unfolding for me. I thought it was something it wasn't. I've been in mediumship development, and there's a certain type of mediumship. It's called trance mediumship, where the spirit communicator blends with the medium and can move the medium. And that's what I thought was happening, but it's not trance mediumship. What I realized later is I'm actually channeling. I'm tapping into light language, different frequencies. And this is something that's coming online, for lack of a better word, for a lot of people. A lot of people are awakening this within them because this is something that we are all capable of. And it's something that unlocks within you as you continue your journey. And light language can come through in many different ways. And also know that there's nothing wrong with you if you don't channel light language, or if you don't know how, or if you've never experienced it before. Remember that everyone's paths are different. We all have different, unique, amazing gifts, and we're here for different reasons. One path is not better than the other path. So just because you might know somebody who is able to channel light language and maybe you're not able to, that's okay. Like that doesn't matter. Don't compare yourself. I hope that makes sense. Like it doesn't make you any less spiritual or any less along your journey than somebody else. I want to make that very clear because again, we're here for different reasons. And yeah, anyways, so I hope that makes sense. I just want that to be a little disclaimer. I did some research here just to give some better definitions as to what exactly light language is. I'm going to try to explain it pretty simplistically, if that makes sense, so that it's easy for us to understand. With that being said, light language is not something that the mind can really comprehend. So I'm explaining it in words when really this is something so magical, so mystical, something beyond what we can fully comprehend. And that's okay, but I'm going to do the best that I can in the simplest way that I can. But also, let me know in the chat below, do you channel light language? Have you experienced this before? Is this something that you've seen, you find fascinating? Have you heard of it? Maybe this is the first time you're hearing of it. Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious because I know when I first started tapping into light language, I didn't know that's what I was doing. Like I've seen it before and I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I didn't really know what it was. And only when I started awakening it within myself is when I started understanding what it was. And being completely transparent, I didn't do any sort of research into it. My knowledge is based on what spirit has impressed upon me through my journey. So my definition here of light language is based again on my experience with it and what I've been told from my spirit guides, etc. And I did do some research here for the first time about light language just to see how it translates on the internet. And the way it's explained is similar to what I've been told. So what my spirit guides have communicated with me, I should say. So anyways, let's dive in and I'll let you know kind of like what I found on the internet versus what I've come to discover on my own. Okay, so essentially light language is a form of communication that transcends human language and operates on a vibrational, energetic level. It doesn't follow conventional grammar or vocabulary, but instead works through frequencies to convey meaning. So I remember when I first started channeling light language, what I was interpreting the message as was sign language, because I started channeling light language with my body. That was actually the first way I started channeling light language before it started coming through my voice. It started coming through my arms, specifically first, my arms and hands. And I actually channel it through my entire body now, but it started out with my hands first. And I thought my spirit guides were telling me so just an explanation. this is when I thought I was tapping into trance mediumship. So I was wrong. It was not trance mediumship. But because of that, when I received the message of like light language, when spirit was trying to communicate it to me, I didn't really know what it was. So they were trying to communicate it to me in the way I would best understand. And I was hearing sign language, because at that point I didn't know at all what light language was. So if they were to say light language, I wouldn't really know what they were saying. Maybe they were saying light language, but I was hearing sign language so that my Brittany mind could comprehend what they were trying to tell me. And my arms were moving. So my silly little mind, who thought I was blending with a spirit, I thought my spirit guides were telling me that a spirit would blend with me and I would be signing, like doing sign language, but it wouldn't actually be me. It would be the spirit moving through me, if that makes sense. So I was wrong, obviously, because I was not doing trance mediumship. I was actually unlocking light language, and my spirit guides were trying to communicate that, but I mistook it as sign language. So that's kind of how that's how they first kind of tried to explain it to me. And, you probably are already aware of this on the spiritual journey. Often when it's like, it's never what you think it is, or sometimes, or for me, it's like when my spirit guides give me information, they don't necessarily give me all of the information at once. They give me pieces of the puzzle. And then later I'm able to see the picture. It's like the pieces make sense down the line. And anyways, eventually it clicked and I realized like, oh, not sign language. This is light language, but similar to sign language in the sense of like moving my arms. And it eventually, like, I channel it through my whole body. It often comes through in dances as well. It's like spirit is dancing with me, or I'm channeling dance. And what my spirit guides have communicated with me is they've communicated working with the winged ones. And I don't really know exactly what the winged ones are, what that means. I'm not going to get my mind to try to figure it out. But how they showed it to me is beings with wings. So fairies, angels, dragons. And that sounds like very mystical. And it's like, Brittany, are those things even real? And I know everybody has their own opinions. I personally do believe in those creatures. However, my perception is a little different. I don't necessarily think that, fairies are flying around on wings. I mean, maybe they are, or maybe that's how they depict them to us so that we can get a grasp of what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Because again, the human mind is very limited in that sense. But I believe fairies, for example, is like a frequency, an energy, a high vibrational energy frequency that you can tap into. Dragon energy, also very high vibrational, very protector energy that you can tap into. The angelic energy you can tap into. And I do believe that there are like different angels as well, but I believe it's like a frequency, and it's a very high vibrational frequency that if we open up to, we can tune into. And the way they presented it to me is I am tuning into these different frequencies, specifically working with the winged ones, so fairies, dragons, angels, and whatever else that might entail. My human mind doesn't necessarily know exactly what that means. And like I said, I'm not going to try to make sense of it, because often, when spirit might give you information, if your logical mind tries to make sense of it, your ego can get in the way based on your biases and can skew what the meaning is. And I've done that many times in the past. So I'm really learning now to like, okay, just take it for face value. Take it. Don't try to make sense of it. Just, okay, this is what they're saying to me now. Maybe it'll make more sense down the road. So essentially they were saying, light language, you're channeling higher vibrational frequencies, and you're bringing through these frequencies, and it causes healing. It's healing for the soul, for your light body. You can channel for yourself. You can channel for somebody else as well. And it's essentially bringing through these frequencies, and then your mind is not at all, it's like your mind is off because your mind can't comprehend what's going on. Essentially your soul, your light body takes over, and it's like we fix ourselves, we heal ourselves, we can tune into these energies, bring through these energies, and then our light body knows what to do. So when I do this energy work, because they also described it to me as like energy work, they described me as an energy conductor. And when I say me, I'm not saying I'm the only one that has experienced this, because there are many other people who have experienced this, and many other people who have experienced this way before I did, who probably know a lot more than I do when it comes to this. Anyways, I'm losing my train of thought, but oh yeah, they explained it to me as like energy work, essentially similar to Reiki, but different. And I feel called to explain, like, for me, what it feels like. My mind is not actively in this. When this first started happening to me, it's like my hand moved by itself. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And that's why I associated it to trance mediumship, because often trance mediums, when a spirit blends with them, like they could get up, they could move around, they could talk, but it's the spirit that's I don't want to say in control, because the person's in control and they could tap out of it at any point they choose, but by surrendering and letting go and allowing the spirit communicator to take over, trance mediums can full-blown walk around, their voice changes, all of those things. And because my hands were moving on their own, I associated that with trance mediumship, which it's not the case. But what it feels like when you channel through your body, your mind is not involved. Your hands just know how to move. Your body just knows how to move. It almost feels like it's like the energy within my body is moving my muscles. I'm trying to explain it, but it's really hard to articulate. If you've experienced it before, then you know what I'm talking about. But it's like my mind is not in control, but my body just moves. And it feels as though it's something beyond me moving my body. Personally, my main experience with light language is through the body, so that's what I could speak of the most. But yeah, so again, I'm just like going off of my experience and what I've been taught. And I just felt called to let you know, like, kind of what it feels like if you were curious. And another thing, like, when I started tapping into this, like I said, I didn't even know what it was. It wasn't a goal of mine. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going to try to tap into my light language. I wasn't focused on that at all. I was focused on me and my healing journey. I was focused on becoming the best version of myself. I still am focused on becoming the best version of myself, right? We are always growing. We are always evolving. But at that time specifically, I was really deeply in my healing journey, and I was deeply going through a spiritual awakening. So what a lot of people might describe it as is like your DNA, quote unquote, like activating, coming online. And this is something that came online as I awakened. It's not something that I set out to do. It's something that just happened, similar to my Kundalini awakening. I wasn't trying to have a Kundalini awakening. It simply happened as I was on my path. So that's something I feel called to say, because, not saying you shouldn't have the goal of tuning into it or tapping into it, but it's not so much focusing on it. It's focusing on you and your path and healing and self-love, and trusting that by doing that, when you're supposed to unlock these things, whatever these things are for you, because again, we all have our own unique gifts. So whenever those things decide to unlock for you, it's trusting that it's happening in the right time, and it's not comparing yourself to anybody else. But my point with that is I wouldn't necessarily recommend actively trying to make it happen. I mean, I don't want to say that. Like, it's okay to want it. It's okay to have a goal, but take the pressure off of it, because when you put pressure on it, sometimes your mind can get in the way, can prevent it from happening, or can make you believe things that aren't necessarily true. So I feel called to say that as well. But light language can be expressed in various ways. So I talked about, how I personally really channel it with my body through dance. It can also be channeled through spoken sound, singing, hand gestures, symbols, or written forms as well. So like art, which is really cool. I haven't actually seen that myself. I haven't seen like written forms, but I'm curious now, like what that might look like. Each expression carries unique energy intended to heal, align, or activate the recipient. So as I was saying before, it's like your light body knows what it needs. So as the light language comes through, your mind doesn't even need to think about it. Your mind is not even if your mind is kind of like, what the heck is going on? Your light body, your soul is taking over. Your light body, your soul knows what to do. And it's interesting how everyone really experiences something different, and different times you receive or channel light language, you can have a different experience depending on whatever it is your soul and your light body needs. So I just want to talk about the purpose of light language just for a little bit. So again, healing. Many use light language for emotional, mental, and even physical healing. It's seen as a powerful tool for aligning energy centers, chakras, and clearing blockages. So I looked this part up here, and this makes sense to what I've been taught. Like, what spirits told me is light language is for healing and activation as well. It's often described as activating dormant aspects of one's spiritual DNA, or raising one's vibration to align more closely with their true self. And the communication occurs on an energetic level beyond the mind. So sometimes, I'm channeling light language, and I'll actually channel some for you guys here through my voice, and I'll do that a little later in the episode toward the end. So if you want to sit back and just kind of take it in, you can let me know if you felt it, because light language, it's a language, but it's not a logical language. It's more of a feeling, if that makes sense. It's this feeling that it might elicit from you. You might not understand why you're feeling whatever you're feeling, but it again activates it. It's a soul level thing. So you can receive light language from a practitioner, either in person or remotely, through vocal transmissions, written symbols, or gestures. What I will say is be very mindful of, if this is something you want to receive, if you want to receive light language, trust yourself, trust your intuition with who you choose to, receive these transmissions by. And the reason why I say that is not everybody in this space is in integrity. And also know that, with time, you can tap into light language on your own, and you absolutely don't need somebody else to be bringing it through for you. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but light language is not necessarily something that can be taught. It's something that's activated. It's something that comes online. It's something that one tunes into on their own path. It's not like Reiki where you go and get lessons, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying, maybe there are people who teach light language. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But from my experience and what I've been taught, it's something that you tap into on your own. So maybe there are teachers that can help you tap into that. I don't want to discredit anybody and their work or anything like that. But based on my experience and what I've been taught, it's something that can't really be taught. It's something that you access within. It's something you tap into within. So with that said, it's like there could be phonies out there. There could be fakes out there. There are a lot of those in this realm. So just trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. If your intuition is guiding you to receive some light language, trust it and trust where it leads you, but don't force it to happen. I hope that makes sense. Just be, just like with any reading that you get, it's being mindful of who you're getting this reading from, just because unfortunately a lot of people are not in integrity in this work. And there are a lot of people that are. So there are a lot of beautiful souls as well. So just it's important to have a healthy dose of skepticism is my point. So if you want to begin to channel on your own, it says here, one must enter a meditative state, connect with one's higher self for guides, and allow the sounds or movement to come through without judgment or expression. Trust in the process is key. So this is all true, but it's not something that, you're just going to say, okay, I'm going to tap into my light language and just expect it to happen. This is not something that is just going to happen your first try. Maybe it does. That would be really cool. The more you focus on yourself and raising your vibration, that's when you'll be able to tune into this, because it's like you want to lift your frequency, raise your vibration. How do you do that? It's by healing, letting yourself feel those emotions, diving into your wounds, diving into your childhood trauma, childhood healing, inner teenage healing, because when you do that and you heal, you're releasing energetic weight. And when you release energetic weight, your frequency is going to rise. So if this is something that you would like to do, again, taking the pressure off of it, but starting a regular meditative practice, starting things like that. Yeah, starting things like that with no expectation. It's having patience. But yeah, meditate. I'd recommend a regular meditation practice and sitting with yourself and essentially raising your frequency. And what does that look like? It doesn't just mean smiling all the time and being in a good mood all the time. It's healing. It's diving into those wounds so that you could feel those emotions, understand them, love them, release them. I hope that makes sense. Oh no. So my mic cut out there. I think it only cut out for a couple minutes. So I'm not going to, two as I look down. I think it cut out for a couple minutes. So sorry if the audio is a little fuzzy there. It's probably picking up from the camera audio, but it is what it is. Anyways, I got to keep an eye on that. I don't know why I did that. And, if light language, like I said, is something you want to tap into, if you think it's cool, there's nothing wrong with that. I understand, wanting to experience things. I'm just trying to take the pressure off of it, but putting it out there, spirit guides, this is something that, I'd love to tap into, and just kind of putting it out there and then letting it go, which is easier said than done. But, like any sort of manifestation, it's learning to let go and not have expectation and trusting that your path is unfolding exactly how and when it needs to in divine order. So your soul, your light body does I know often when I do this, people cry. It tends to unlock emotion is what I've noticed quite a lot for people. And I know that releasing stored emotions can be huge. It could be huge on the healing journey. Not saying that this is like a one-stop shop and like just fixes everything, because that's not the case. You can't like just do light language and, heal your entire being, but it's a tool that can be implemented if you feel called. So there is a lot of like skepticism when it comes to light language. Many feel that light language is nonsensical or difficult to believe because it doesn't follow conventional linguistic patterns, which I kind of talked about before. It's not so much about it making sense, because it's not going to make sense. It's not meant to make sense. It's not supposed to make sense to your mind. It's more of a feeling. It operates on a vibrational level, an energetic level. It's more about feeling than understanding. I hope that makes sense. So again, I'm going to do some light language at the end here, and I'll talk you through just kind of like closing your eyes and connecting to your heart. And I want you to try to just see what you feel, if you feel anything. Again, it's taking away the expectation. Maybe you don't feel anything, and that's absolutely okay. But we'll get to that in a moment. So some people, talk about light language. Is it the same thing as speaking in tongues? I personally believe that it is the same thing. However, light language is not bound by any religion, and I could be wrong, but I think speaking in tongues is more so like just the voice. Light language is the voice, the body, art. It can be expressed in more ways than just speaking in tongues. I know speaking in tongues is specifically religious. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe speaking in tongues does talk about all of those other aspects. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm not 100% sure, so I do want to say that. But I know that light language and speaking in tongues, from my experience, I was told they were the same, because when I was, thinking, language, like not light language, sign language, I was also being told like speaking in tongues, you can speak in tongues. And I'm realizing now, I'm like, like that is light language, but in different ways, in different forms. And online here, when I looked it up too, it says that speaking in tongues, it says some might confuse light language with speaking in tongues in religious contexts. Light language is not tied to any specific religion, but is a spiritual tool accessible to all. So let's talk about it in relation to channeling and mediumship. What is the difference? So based on my experience, because I do mediumship and I do channeling and I do psychic work, there is a difference between them all. And at first, I didn't really understand the difference, and I'm still learning the difference. Again, I'm no expert. I'm still new specifically to light language. And as I continue on my journey, I'm learning more the difference between all of these modalities. And although they are similar, they are different. So when I do mediumship, for example, it's communicating with a spirit on the other side, a past loved one. And when you do mediumship, I feel physically, like I feel vibrationally that spirit here with me. And I know that when I feel that, the information I'm receiving is from this spirit. That's mediumship. There's an outside consciousness, a spirit giving this information. It is similar when I connect to spirit guides as well. It does feel a little different, but it is a similar energy in the sense of I am communicating with a conscious being. When I do channeling, sometimes I channel angel messages and I write. And when I channel light language, to me personally, based on my experience, it's more similar. It's something that just kind of flows freely and it just comes out naturally. And I want to say it's coming from within more, but it's not even that it is, but it isn't. I'm aligning my frequency with another frequency. It's like a radio. I'm tuning into it and I'm receiving from that frequency. But I'm attuning to that frequency. So often when I attune to that frequency, the messages are more internal as opposed to coming from an outside source. Even though I am tuning into an outside source, it's like my radio is tuning into it and it's coming out through me. Mediumship, I am connecting to a separate consciousness and I could feel that it's separate from me and I could feel them delivering me the information. I hope that makes sense. So there is a difference. Similar with psychic work, when I do tarot and psychic, so tarot, I'm reading the energy of the tarot cards, but my tarot readings are not strictly tarot. I do some psychic work. It's like psychic tarot, if that makes sense. And tuning into the energy psychically, it's like tuning into the energy in the here and the now, based on the person that I'm doing a reading for. It's tuning into their energy. And sometimes, often with that work, spirit guides do come through to help deliver information as well. So they can all be kind of like used together, but there is a subtle difference between them all. And I'm learning as I develop. I'm in mediumship development courses. I am getting stronger at, noticing these differences. And it's really important to develop. Like if you're interested in doing this work, especially for other people, I highly recommend development. It's been a complete game changer for me. It's also really important to understand your energy very well so that you can decipher, okay, this is my energy. Oh, now I'm feeling a spirit energy. This feels different. Oh, I'm attuning to this frequency. I'm channeling this now. My radio antenna is tuning in here. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense, how I kind of explained the difference. And if you do this work, I'm curious what it's like for you. Yeah, let me know if you have any experiences that might differ. So I am going to channel some light language for you guys. And this is going to be short. I'm going to keep this short because I know this is a podcast episode, but I encourage you, if you're driving right now, maybe like don't do this. Don't close your eyes, but you can relax. But if you can, if it is safe, take a seat just for a moment, relax. Maybe even close your eyes if you feel called, and really connect in with your breath. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose, filling your belly and chest completely, holding at the top for a second or so, and releasing that breath nice and slow. And you're going to take another deep breath in through the nose, filling the belly and chest completely, holding at the top for a moment, and releasing that breath nice and slow. And you're going to take about 3 more of those breaths on your own time as you bring your awareness to your heart center, envisioning a white light at the center of your heart space, knowing that this white light is that of love and truth, and it resides within you, so you have access to this white light at all times. You might feel a warmth at the center of your chest. As you allow yourself to relax with each exhale, this white light at the center of your chest is going to begin to expand through your entire body, through your chest, your arms, your legs, out your hands, out your feet, and out your crown until you are completely encompassed by this white light. Allowing yourself just to relax. I want you to pay attention to how this makes you feel, letting go of anything that might be on your mind at this time, any thoughts, any distractions, simply letting them go. And really just bringing your awareness to your body, bringing your awareness to how your body feels here in this moment. Simply observing, no need to judge. And I'm going to bring through this light language, and as I do, pay attention to how it might make you feel in the body. Hayai, hayaranai, yaranaki, koyaranaki, sharananahi, yarana, keyarana, koyaya, yarana, keyarana, kuranakis. Sheyaranai yarama kuranaki, keyaranaki ranakuranaki sa. Heyaranaki kuranai yaranai, heyo ayaranahi ranaki sa. Hui yaranai yaranaki se aranaki. Huyaranai aranakis, kearana ku aranaki. Hayai, huyaranai, yayahai arana. Uyai, yayayai, yaranai, yarama, yaranaki, kuyashai, yaranasa. So just paying attention to how that made you feel in the body. No judgment. And if you didn't feel anything at all, that's absolutely okay. Bringing your awareness back to your breath. Taking in a few deep and slow breaths as you allow that to integrate into your being. So I'm curious if you felt anything shift. And again, if you didn't, that's absolutely okay. But yeah, that was just a small little bit of light language there. But yeah, I'm going to leave that there. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope it was somewhat informative. Again, a lot of this was based on my personal experience and what I've been told. Again, I am no expert. I'm no expert when it comes to light language, and I still am learning. But this is what I've been taught. This is what I've learned so far through my experience. And I did a little bit of research online to I just kind of wanted to see if what I've been learning, was similar to what's online. And a lot of what I've been learning is what's being shown, if that makes sense. That's kind of what came forward. So yeah, it's interesting. It's abstract. I'm still learning more. And maybe down the line, as I do learn more, maybe I'll make another video. But let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know if you've had experience with light language. I'm curious what your experience has been. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. If you are not yet subscribed, it would mean the world to me if you would hit that subscribe button. And I recently started a self-love series on my YouTube. I'm really excited about that. So definitely check that out if you are interested in more behind the scenes from me, vlog style, video diary style thing. I really showcase just like healing and my self-love journey authentically. You see me crying, you see me farting, you see me laughing, you see all the things. I'm really not holding back with that. And if you are looking for community, I recently started the Beehive with Holly. I'm really excited about that. It is an online community where you get exclusive content from both Holly and I. If you are interested in more information from that, all the links will be in the description below. But thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sending you so much love. And until next time, bye.
This is me, I'm so royal, and you all wanna be round. Yeah, you all wanna be round. Round a champion, a champion.